At the start of the movie, we are introduced to our protagonist So-jung, who has a pretty busy lifestyle. She has to go to the hospital time and again as her mom is suffering from dementia. To make matters worse, So-jung has no father, so she is the only breadwinner of the family. She works as a pastry chef in a cafe run by a skeptical and arrogant man named Sung-jae. Since So-jung has to take care of her mother, there are many times she needs to leave work midway. As a result, she is often reprimanded by her boss harshly. One stormy day, So-jung gets a call from her mother asking her to come home as soon as possible. Worried, she rushes home and learns from the nanny that her mother had another episode of dementia. So-jung quickly makes her mother feel better and then returns to work. But her day couldn't get any worse when Sung-jae, her boss, reprimands her for coming so late. He gives her one last warning to commit to her job, otherwise, she will be fired. Our heroine is so soft at heart that she starts to cry, but soon musters her courage to focus on her job. As punishment, So-jung makes her clean the whole cafe that night. Shortly after, when So-jung finishes cleaning the lobby, she comes to the kitchen, only to find that someone has already cleaned it. This puzzles her, as she doesn't remember coming to the kitchen at all. After everyone leaves, So-jung decides to stay in order to prepare ingredients for the following day. The night gets stormier as she's preparing her dinner. Suddenly, she sees a mysterious old lady at the front door who is drenched from the rain. So-jung invites the lady in and offers her dinner. After a while, the mysterious lady gives a magical book to So-jung, saying that it will answer all her questions in life, but she will only be lending it for a week. When So-jung sees the book, the title reads, "Are We in Love?" After the old lady leaves, So-jung opens the magical book. She then casually asks if she will ever find love. She turns to the first page, in which it is written that she will get many confessions soon. So-jung doesn't take it seriously, thinking that the book is just another wisdom text. Suddenly, her boss arrives at the cafe asking why she hadn't turned off the lights yet. He is concerned about the enormous electricity bills. So-jung apologizes to him and makes sure that she will not repeat the same mistake again. All of a sudden, Sung-jae offers to escort her home. This surprises So-jung a bit, as her boss is always rude and arrogant to her. She can't believe that he can care for her as well. Here, it is surprisingly revealed that Sung-jae has a secret crush on So-jung, and that she also likes him, but both of them are unaware of it. After she is escorted home, So-jung is approached by her neighbor who just moved in a few days ago. He abruptly proposes to her, telling her how beautiful she is. So-jung is taken by surprise and quickly flees, exclaiming that she already has someone she likes. The words in the magical book become even more true when another random pedestrian approaches our heroine on her way to work the following day. He asks for her number, but So-jung once again rejects him. Confused, she rushes to the cafe and starts her chores. While she is baking a cake, a handsome customer comes across her and flirts with her. He even asks her out on a date, handing her a card that has his phone number. Meanwhile, her colleagues at the cafe get to know about this and become equally surprised as they don't find So-jung that attractive. Later, while she is making sweet tarts in the kitchen, So-jung comes close to her and starts tasting the desserts. As expected, he rudely comments that they are bad, and also adds that So-jung should focus on her work rather than going on dates with random strangers. It is evident that he is jealous of the recent proposals made to So-jung. Later, when she arrives home, she is still curious how so many confessions were made to her, just like it's stated in the magical book. She then grabs the book and once again asks if the confessions were real. When So-jung turns the page of the book, it reads that she shouldn't believe that it's impossible for her to get confessions. She just needs to keep a firm belief in herself, and things will turn out for the better. The following day at work, So-jung sees her boss and a beautiful girl named Anna spending time together. In fact, most of the time Anna hangs out in the cafe with So-jung, so our heroine thinks the two are in a relationship. She also becomes sad as well as jealous when she sees them together. One day, while heading out to work, the nanny who looks after So-jung's mother offers her a piece of cake. She tells So-jung that her mother was well the other day, so she made a traditional Korean cake with tarts on it. So-jung tastes it and realizes that it's the exact recipe she was looking for when she made the bitter tarts last time. Later at work, she makes a cake with the same traditional recipe, which turns out to be delicious. Sung-jae is impressed, so he tells her to put the dessert in the display case. Thankfully, for once, she is able to make her boss happy. Moments later, a delivery package addressed to Sung-jae arrives at the cafe, so she excitedly takes it to his room. Sadly, So-jung once again sees him and Anna hanging out in the main office. But apparently this time, her boss is angry at Anna. So-jung overhears their conversation and learns that Anna is going abroad to study for 2 years, and she is just now sharing the news with Sung-jae. After hearing all this, So-jung is even more convinced that her boss loves Anna very much. Later that night, So-jung once again opens the magical book and turns on a page that reads, "Soon an opportunity will show up, seize it." So-jung doesn't take it seriously since nothing much has changed in her life, except for the fact that many strangers have proposed to her. It's 2:30 a.m. and she can't fall asleep that night for some reason. Suddenly, her doorbell rings and she sees her drunk boss being escorted by a restaurant owner. Apparently, Sung-jae told the owner that his address is there. Before leaving, the owner demands her boss pay for his food. Since Sungjae doesn't seem to be himself, Sojung pays the due amount to the owner. Next, while excessively drunk, Sungjae tells her not to go out with the men who proposed to her because they are just thieves. He then casually asks her out, telling her to date him instead. Sojung is surprised and angry at the same time, since she thinks he is using her as a replacement for Anna, who is soon going abroad. In response, Sungjae tells her that he will wait for 2 days to get an answer from her. After this, he bids her goodbye and departs. The next morning, when Sojung goes to work, she realizes that all the men who proposed to her were either salesmen trying to sell their products or simply playboys. To make matters worse, she learns that her colleagues ate all the traditional cake she made using her mother's recipe. Sojung becomes even more infuriated when she sees Sungjae sharing the last piece of cake with Anna. That night, some men bully Sojung when she is returning home from work. Thankfully, our hero, that is her boss Sungjae, arrives just at the right time to defend her. The bullies get into a fight with him, so Sojung quickly informs the police to settle the situation. The following day at work, Sojung mistakenly causes a fire in the kitchen. Sungjae jumps to help her, but gets injured in the process. Guilt-stricken and equally worried, she rushes him to the hospital. Thankfully, he doesn't have any serious injuries except for a few bruises. This makes Sojung emotional and she starts crying in front of her boss, telling him that she was worried sick. In response, Sungjae once again asks her if she had given any thought to his proposal. But since Sojung believes that he is playing around with her, she doesn't give any answers. Later, when she returns to the cafe, she finally learns the truth from her coworkers. It turns out that Anna is actually her boss's twin sister, and he has been liking Sojung for a long time now. Apparently, everyone seems to take notice of this, except for Sojung herself. Our heroine becomes so dependent on the magical book for answers that she takes every word in it seriously. For instance, as the book directs her to wait for some time before confessing her feelings to her boss, she decides to comply. Later, when she meets Sungjae, she tells him that it will take some time for her to give him an answer. One day, Anna approaches Sojung and reveals to her that Sungjae has been delaying his trip to Japan, where he will be giving barista lectures to university students. He wants Sojung's answer to his proposal before he can make the trip. Hearing this, our heroine feels really bad, as she is the reason why her boss has been holding back on such a good opportunity. Anna also reveals that she recommended Sojung to a training school in Japan, where she can practice for 2 months to a maximum of 3 years. Since the training center will only be 10 minutes away from Sungjae's barista school, it will be good for them to experience a new life while getting to know each other. However, Sojung is more confused as she doesn't know what to do. Like always, she surrenders to the book for answers. But this time when she opens the book, all the pages are mysteriously empty. She starts to panic and feel helpless, as now she has no one to take advice from. The following day, a representative from Japan arrives in the cafe in order to examine Sojung's chef skill. He is spellbound when he tastes her traditional Korean cake and sweet tarts. Soon after, he offers her a letter of acceptance, meaning that she is welcome to join the school in Japan. Following this, Sungjae advises her to think it through and not miss this great opportunity. Sojung then decides to once again go to the magical book, but to her surprise, the book is nowhere to be found. Later, Sungjae tells her that an old lady visited the cafe earlier and took away the book. At the same time, Sojung gets a phone call from her mother's nanny, who worryingly informs her that her mother is missing. Scared, she and the nanny look around town and even inform the police. Sojung later finds her mother barefoot in the cafe. As a result, she feels embarrassed in front of Sungjae and her colleagues. When nothing comes to her mind, Sojung decides to quit her job at the cafe. She claims that this will give her enough time to care for her mother properly. However, Sungjae advises her not to quit, as she has to cover the medical expenses for her mother. Instead, she will be given ample leaves. The next day, Sojung leaves for Japan for the barista course. He made this decision so that Sojung can continue working at the cafe without feeling ashamed of her mother's condition. The movie then jumps to 6 months later, where Sojung thinks of quitting her job since Sungjae has returned to the city. After she leaves a resignation letter at his house, she suddenly sees the magical book once again. Inside it, she sees a photo of herself that Sungjae once took. With this, Sojung realizes that her boss was the mastermind behind the magical book. In a flashback, we see Sungjae had made the book with the help of his sister. His main motive was to make Sojung believe that she is special and that many boys are after her. He wanted to make her confident, and he did just that. Meanwhile, Sojung understands that both of them have been in love with each other all along. So, without wasting time, she heads to her boss's place, only to find him waiting for her. The final scene of the movie shows the two embracing each other in arms, making up for a happy ending.